Well, hello, everybody. Good morning. Welcome, Val. Welcome
Thank
to the
you.
show.
Thank you.
So, yeah, so after a brief hiatus, unfortunately, we are back. And today, Val will be asking questions, and I'll be working through with the Ascended Masters and the Akashic Records Masters, and we'll be answering collective questions, not personal questions here today, as you well know.
Yeah.
And Val, it's wonderful to be back with you.
Yeah, absolutely. I always enjoy this format, and I love to hear what the Akashic Record Masters
Oh, yeah.
what you channel through from them for
Mhm.
all the questions, and it's always eye opening and very um, uh, uplifting. The energy.
Usually is. Yes.
Yeah.
I don't see them ever coming through with real
No.
degraded. No, there. And
No.
that's one thing you teach in your Akashic Records class. If it's something negative, it's not the Akashic Records Masters.
Absolutely, absolutely. Because you know what? They are coming through with facts and information. They're not
Right.
coloring it with fear
Or emotion. Yeah.
and any of that. So it's just higher truth and what is actually written in the record. So yeah, it's pretty interesting to hear what they say.
Yeah.
I look forward to it every time.
Me too. And 2 weeks from today, we'll be back on Val's channel where I'll be asking her questions, and I'll start looking for them tonight. Because that's what I do. That's what I do.
Sometimes you have to. It's
I know.
You know,
there's a lot. Yeah.
we try not
I
to.
don't think we can ever write. Val, did you change your hair color? Flower Beauty says.
No.
No.
After I color my hair, then by the time the month is winding down, it will naturally be lighter.
Yeah.
At the top, the color washes out.
That's true. That's unfortunately true, but yeah.
I wish it was permanent.
I know.
Never have to do it again. My hair grows so fast that it appears more blondie kind of color.
It does appear blondie at the top.
Yeah.
That's very true. Yeah. All right. So, Carolyn, you came in from a grounding session. That's beautiful. So I hope we can bring in some wonderful, and I'm going to turn this over to Val at this point, and I'm going to get myself centered and ready to receive. So thank you all for being here, everybody.
Yeah. Thank you, everyone. Okay, so I love this question. This is more about the cosmic becoming. How did the Akashic records themselves come into being, Akashic Record Masters?
Wow. One of the wise and benevolent ascended masters believed that there needed to be a record of the accomplishments, not only of individuals in their reincarnation process, but also of the history of not only the earth, but the cosmos, in order for us at times to see how far we have come. Many times we believe that we live in the worst or the more turbulent times. And in looking back, the Akashic Records Masters say, we all live in cyclical times and patterns. This was a way for collective and individual reflection. And the only way that could be ascertained was to commit to keeping those records. And I'm actually seeing somebody extremely old, probably in cosmic age, but it's like what you would expect, the little man with gray hair and a big beard sitting at a desk taking notes. And it's a cute little representation of the wisdom of age.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Thank you. That's
Mhm.
beautiful. Very interesting. And what is the soul's original blueprint, and how does it guide us in every incarnation?
Much like the birth of your human babies, the soul's original blueprint was created to represent processes over time, from one's humble beginnings as having to be cared for, to the container soul's use of the body throughout, and then its reuse later after the body has become worn and tired. And the soul's blueprint is that we can always reflect back on the idea that we are cared for, and we care for, and then we are cared for in the cycle. And we incarnate with people who are the most in need of us, and we of them.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you so much. That's lovely and powerful. Why does the Earth hold such importance in the larger cosmic plan?
The Earth was, and probably still is, the Akashic Records masters say, the big experiment. The Earth is a fertile ground for growth, but it also offers the ability for free will, which in many cases can lead us down on paths that we may not have anticipated. The Earth is near enough to the central sun here in this galaxy that allows us to live fairly comfortably, or it did originally anyway. And it is in a lot of turmoil at this point because people have not cared for it. The astronauts will say, looking back on it, they can see the fragility of it, and yet its purpose has grown and withstood billions of years of time, and so it continues to work its magic on those who incarnate upon it until they learn their lesson, or we must move to a new place in order for that lesson to continue.
Okay, that's beautiful. That's powerful. Thank you for that, Akashic Record Masters. And do our souls choose Earth for a specific reason in their evolution?
Absolutely. We are seeing specific reasons now, most especially because there are a lot of extraterrestrial entities who have entered Earth within the last 20 years or so that have come here to empower and enrich this planet by holding space for neurodivergence and connecting the two or more planets that they have come from. They bring in higher energy and purpose if only we can look at them and realize that this is their mission. So many of us have come on other missions, but most recently, the neurodivergent younger entities that have come in have really elevated the rest of us who can be quite tired, they say. There's many of you there that have been holding the light for so long that you feel quite tired. And part of that is that at the same time, you are advancing in your vibration. And those two things combined can make you feel like you're sort of being pulled in many directions.
Very, very cool. Wow. Okay, that gave me an image, a graphical image.
Yeah, they're showing me they're like a tug of war. You know, the Akashic Records masters are like, we can do pantomime too.
They have a sense of humor.
Uh-huh.
I just want to stop and say hi to all those who are here in the chat. Thank you for joining us. And that's Lois, Tooker, Terry Mullins, Flower Beauty Peacock Rainbow, Glow, Carolyn S. Cooper, Michelle Krantz, Angela Hunter, Kelly McCall, Viviani, Debbie Batchelor, Keith Edward Kenneth. I was going to make up a whole new name for you, Edward Kenneth. You can tell I have no caffeine in my chai tea. Janice and Play Love Remember. Let's see, CC Angel, Tom at Time to Transcend, Ascending Universal Butterfly. Cute names, all these cute names. And let's see, make sure I don't miss anyone going down. Carl Hess, hello. Jules Niner, good to see you here. The Juniper Vale, that's cute. At Tapioca Thievery, oh, that's even cuter. And Anita K. Let's see, I think we're almost down to the bottom. Yeah, okay, so thank you all for being here. Now we will, if I run out of questions, we will go to the chat for universal questions that we can all appreciate from the Akashic Record Masters, nothing personal.
The masters are wanting to say how connected this community is, in that there are so many of us who are allowed and have tapped into the Akashic Records and provided information to others. And they are sort of jumping with joy in that realm, that so many of you have become adept at this, all thanks to the master teacher who happens to be asking the questions right now.
I love that. I love that. And our next question for the Akashic Record Masters is, do all souls eventually return to source, or are there infinite paths that they can take?
Well, I'm getting the infinity sign, but I'm also getting the Akashic Records Masters say it's always your choice, whichever way you want to go. You're the one who determines the choice. You're the one who picks it. You could sit with Source for years and years, not choosing to take any other paths, simply to sit by a beautiful stream or to learn something that may be accessible in the other realms, and then choose to come back in times of triumph or times of need. But it's, in other words, if you choose to stay and stay with Source, it isn't a prison cell. It's more a extended vacation in the south of France. You do whatever you want to do, is what they're saying. Yeah.
Very nice. Lovely. Thank you for that, Akashic Record Masters. And how do guides, angels, and higher aspects of ourselves collaborate in our evolution?
Sometimes it may feel as though there are no guides, angels, around us and we are bereft and feel left alone, let's say, they are always there. We forget to ask them. We forget to call upon them. They can collaborate to the extent that our souls want them to collaborate with, and they're always watching out over us, but cannot allow their own wishes or their own interference unless we invite that to occur. Whereas ancestors and others, they kind of put a tripwire below our feet at some point. In other words, if we keep pushing and don't listen, they and maybe guides can do the same thing, and maybe ascended masters and so forth could as well. They just make it impossible for us to move forward unless we recognize that the help is available. Some of these lessons appear to be very hard for many of us because it's the opposite. The opposite occurs within our human brain, that nobody cares about us, nobody wants to help us, and that all life is a trial. But the Akashic records say no, none of them judge you for what you came here to learn, and are only there to invite their energies in order for your vibration to remain high. Mm-hmm. While it is hard when going through times of trouble to keep one's vibration high, it's imperative in order for your growth to occur here. This is why so many people check out at certain timelines, because they haven't turned to the source that is available to them. So the Akashic Records masters say there is no need for heartache. There is no need for trouble, for lower vibration. Turn yourself over and ask for help. There's nothing wrong with that. And there is no wrong way of doing what it is you came here to do.
Beautiful, beautiful, and good to know. Thank you, Akashic Record Masters. And what happens to the soul before birth and after death?
Before birth, the Akashic Records masters say they've been there's a misnomer about when the soul inhabits the body, but there is also a clear message that a baby's soul may enter before the baby's physical body enters, because of the excruciating pain that it takes to be born. And once baby has been born, that soul inhabits the body and makes the transition. It's all birth. There is no death. And so when one has moved into the next phase of their life by leaving this plane, they tend to leave the body early, especially if it is a situation where they know they are dying and it will be painful, such as in a car accident or a gunshot or any of those things. But there is some confusion for people who are not spiritually aware. And the confusion sometimes keeps them in this in-between state. It could be that the same thing can occur in birth as well, because it could be that the soul is confused. They know they've already lived once before. And what are they doing here again? So a lot of it has to do with elevation of understanding, but that's why we go through different phases of incarnation and different lessons that we need to learn in each incarnation. And those lessons can get easier for us once we understand what the process is.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Thank you, Akashic Record Masters, for answering that. And in our next set of questions, it's really about love, separation, and unity. Is separation from source an illusion? And if so, why does it feel so real?
Akashic Records masters say, absolutely human. Absolutely. It's real. It's real. There is no separation, they're saying. There is no separation from source. But why it feels real is because we have taken the beliefs of doctrine and the belief in suffering to a very high level. And we become conditioned to the thoughts and beliefs of others around us who can convince us of things that perhaps are not true. There is no separation. We are all connected to source. We're all connected to the love and the best harmony in life, but we choose to believe that something is wrong with us, where we are perfectly imperfect and need to love ourselves more. When we cease to love ourselves and look to the outside to find meaning in life, it can only create dissonance, which makes it really hard to believe that you entities are connected to source. Source never leaves you. There are times when you leave source.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Okay. Thank you so much for that, Akashic Record Masters. And what is the highest truth about love that humanity has yet to embody?
Love is like a butterfly. It's only meant to sit on your shoulder for a short time, but its essence remains. And so what they're saying is this is the only reason for life, is to love and be loved. If you can love and be loved, if you can forgive and be forgiven, there is nothing more beautiful. There are people that look at the end of their life and say, what did I accomplish? What did I do? You loved, you were beloved. We can't learn this because we have been also told erroneously that we have to do something in order to win love, to be accepted, there must be more than this, is what they're saying. That's what people are thinking, people are saying. But quite honestly, if you were here and love and you are loved, there is nothing more beautiful than that, because your love expresses itself in everyone you meet, in everyone you touch, and all the things you do. They want you to empower yourself to realize loving self first is the only way that you can feel as though you are loved and can love.
That's beautiful. Beautifully put. Thank you so much, Akashic Record Masters. And yeah, that's lovely. And how do we cultivate unity consciousness while still honoring individuality?
It takes many waves in the sea to make the ocean. There is not one wave. There are not two waves. There are more waves. There are endless and multiple parts of us in all pieces of humanity. To be ourselves is to be true to what we believe in and remain connected to and conjoined with, they say. But at the same time, we can move mountains as a collective while we can only do very little by ourselves. So there is a very fine and delicate balance. To thine own self be true, Shakespeare. He's over here going, tell him that one. And it's very, very important. But his other one he wants you to hear is, all the world's a stage and all of us simply actors upon it. So there's a balance between thine own self and also being part of a collective. And many of the great masters, including literary masters, already knew this information, and they tried to fit it into places where people could hear it and not think they were being preached or made to believe in something.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you so much, Akashic Record Masters. That's wonderful. And going back about the highest truth about love that humanity has yet to embody, this is what people have said. It was Play Love and Remember says it was 222 when the first mention of love. That's kind of that beautiful energy. And, yeah, and Jules Niner is saying, holy cow, I had this chat about loving and being loved yesterday. And Carolyn S. Cooper saying, I teared up on that one. Happy tears. So that really struck a chord with everyone. And I love Akashic Record Masters, what you gave us about how do we cultivate unity consciousness while still honoring individuality. Now we're going to move to free will, destiny, and timelines. And so how are the timelines created and chosen by souls?
Of late, there has been some interference in timelines created by nefarious action, is what they're saying, but not to be negative, because they're saying these things were meant to happen in some way. So there's never something that happens by happenstance. However, we can notice these timeline jumps and wonder ourselves how these things could occur in what we consider to be our very ordered lives. It seems to me that with the transition to 5D and the difference in DNA reattunement and vibrational consciousness raising, the timelines are, it's funny, they're like jumping up and jumping down, and they're confused. It's like, oh my goodness, everything's changing so fast. We've even seen that with these souls who truly believe they would be raptured to the heavens recently. And their timeline was one of, it was one of movement, but not in the direction that was considered to be beneficial to that soul. So there are ways that we can choose which timeline we wish to be on. Some of us feel more comfortable dwelling in past energies. What is meant by that is that some people return to places they have been in the past and they revisit them, whether that be astrally, whether that be through the dream state, or whether it be physically. And they return themselves to that time in order to make sense of that time. And there's a lot of that occurring as well. We can see timeline jumping happening collectively, but we can also see it happening in our own lives. And we can also see time I want to say, standing still, and being a confusion to those of us who are linear individuals. But we've always been able to jump timelines and time periods. It's just understanding that extra ability that is a different kind of a Claire. It's there are more Claires than we think there are. Yeah.
Oh, I love that. That's exciting.
Mm-hmm. Mm. Yeah. They're smiling and all their teeth are showing. So thank you.
So we have more to discover about ourselves than we realize.
Well, we're just maybe early teens right now. Yeah.
So that's something to look forward to, that developing.
Yeah.
And how much of our life is destined and how much is shaped by free will?
When we come and we do our soul contracts, we come with a very loose set of rules, including possible exit dates. And so many would say that's predestination. You came here, you wanted to do this. Maybe you got an illness. Maybe you decided at this point that you're going to seek out alternative measures, or that you'd like to stay. And so there's your free will. That's what you're saying. I'd like, my contract said, but I'd really like to stay longer. And I think we work these things out at a soul level. And so when we, I think it's maybe not 50-50, but I think there is some give and take in the ability to live life as we see fit. We may be making more progress than we thought, or maybe less progress. And there should be no judgment on what the soul decides.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. That's wonderful. And can a soul truly make a mistake, or is everything part of divine orchestration?
As humans, we make mistakes. And but there are no mistakes. We needed those particular lessons in order to integrate. Perhaps we were getting off of our agreement, or we were not clear on where we were going with something else. They're showing me a squirrel, so I'm hearing squirrel. I'm like, where? Look over here. Look over here. They are saying that we get distracted, and that's what the reference refers to, is that everything goes along and then we get distracted by it. But if we don't learn the lesson, and we're told more than once, this is a mistake you should have learned from, or this is still our personal free will to choose it or not. And so we must remember that this is a great big school down here. And if you don't want to learn the lesson and you want to go through the pain again, we'll get you set up if that's what you want.
I love that. Thank you. Thank you, Record Masters. So our next topic is suffering, shadow, and healing. So the first question is, why do certain souls choose lives of deep struggle or illness?
Sometimes the struggle is for soul growth in individuals. Illness can be one's life lesson, but it also might be the lesson of one's parents or one's grandparents or one's spouse, set up in order for that soul to achieve growth and higher vibration. Many people will also say, why would you choose to be in a war-torn country and have to endure persecution and death and actions like that? it's a choice to uplift not one's own soul, but to uplift the soul of humanity. Or it's sort of like taking one for the team. If I work with this energy, then it will help more people in their elevation as a soul than it would merely myself or those around me. And there are souls who will suffer for others for that reason. And one of those souls is the great Buddha, who had everything. He lived in the lap of luxury, and he gave everything up to live an ascetic life for the higher good of the other souls.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you so much for that answer, Akashic Record Masters. And how do we best transmute fear into wisdom?
It takes a soul sometimes many years to move into wisdom. And yet we have souls that are 5, 6, 7 years old that are wiser than many people who've lived on the planet for decades. But could you repeat the question again? I'm sorry.
Sure. How can we best transmute fear into wisdom?
Okay, thank you. It was the word fear that I was forgetting about. Fear is attached to our ego. Yeah. It's attached to our. In a way, it protects us, as we know. Many years ago, we were given the adrenaline if an animal was chasing us and we needed to get away from it. And in order to do that, we needed to have the ability to move it out and go. But now it is an attachment that we have to our personal well-being. And it should be noted that once an individual has an understanding of death and is not afraid of death, their fear goes away. Most people are afraid of death, and that's attached to ego, and that's all fear. And once you can look that in the face and say, there is much, much more that I still have to learn in maybe another place. And I know that place is here as well. So there's an ego, fear, attachment situation that needs to be taken care of on this earth plane. And it's all part of our losses that we have to endure in the lives that we've lived and had to live or lived before.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you for that answer, Akashic Record Masters. And what is the Akashic understanding of forgiveness of self and others?
Akashic Records Masters say there have been many people who have talked about their understanding of forgiveness. And there are a lot of people attached to being angry about feeling as though they have been disrespected, hurt, violated in some way. But holding on to anger is like holding on to a hot poker and not realizing that you're the one getting burned. So it creates, it can create illness. It can create bodily functions malfiring. And there has to be some kind of a release that we come to, a realization that we come to, that it serves no one more than ourselves to forgive another. And the most important forgiveness is of self. If we had known better, we would have done better. And now we know better, we do better.
Oh, beautiful, beautiful. I love that. And The next set of questions are in the realm of dimensions, time, and multiversal life. So, the first question is, how do souls experience parallel lifetimes, and why are they important?
We are only beginning to truly understand the ideas of quantum jumping and quantum physics, and it's such a minute amount we know. But parallel lives, some would believe that the opposite of one side of this life in this world, and the other on the opposing side in this world, offer us the opportunity to experience both things and integrate the both things. Instead of looking back and saying, well, I wish I had done this, we can at least say, well, in another life, in another parallel world, I did that. And maybe I succeeded in that parallel world better than I do in this one. But this is why there's a balance. It's like everything else. It's a fine balance. And what the purpose is for us to acknowledge the idea that looking back serves no one, moving forward serves all, and we can actually create a parallel life in this world. We can change whatever we are at any moment. We can move into freedom. We can make a different choice. We can start a different plan. We just don't think we can. We think we're too old, too fat, too lazy. They're showing me all these people lined up going, oh, I did it wrong. I did it wrong. I did it wrong. And they're like, shh, you did it the right way. You did it the right way. Yeah.
So basically, Akashic Record Masters, you would say it's our perspective of how we view ourselves in the world. Yes. And as we shift that, we open up to the possibilities, or open up to who we really are.
Yes.
Okay. Yes. Thank you so much for that. That's wonderful. And what is the difference between living in 3D, 5D, and higher dimensions?
Ooh. In the 3D world, there is a huge attachment to competition, anger, ego, striving for something, trying to make something happen. The Asian view of the world is much like the flow of a river. We don't work hard to do something that we can do easily. It doesn't mean we can't strive to be better, or we can't strive to do better. But what it means is that there should be not as much striving. However, younger people have been told they must do this, to get that. And it's all about the toys. It's all about the things that survive in the world. There are people who will live in 3D world that don't strive at all. In fact, they don't strive. They strive zero. They don't try anything. They live in fear, and they live in, unfortunately, addiction, because everything else is too much for them. They could be early incarnates. This is one of their first lifetimes. The fifth dimension is a wonderful etheric place to live, but we still have to keep our feet on the earth right now. So it's very difficult for us. We kind of move into fourth dimension in a lot of ways, because we have to balance third and fifth, because we live here. This is why so many of us are happy being at home, are happy being untethered to outside, or the political scene, the news, the energies that even driving can provoke in us. The higher dimensions, I'm seeing a whole bunch of people floating on clouds, honestly. I'm just feeling like you can just move wherever you want, know whatever you need to know. and it's completely expansive. I believe that there are some people here that are already in that situation, monks in particular, because they have no connection with sometimes each other or the outside world, and they're able to levitate. They're able to live lives of pure devotion to the other higher powers.
Mhm.
So unfortunately, it's a hard road for some of us who have to vacillate in between the two, the 3 and 5D. But
Mhm.
so many of us now have escalated ourselves in that 5D energy. Our DNA is shifting, and we're just not feeling comfortable in a lot of ways. They're saying that they're seeing the shift. It has occurred in so many of us, and in some of us, it's making its way. I just want to say it's making its DNA strand way up to the higher consciousness and beyond. Yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you so much for that answer. And how do we know when we are time traveling through memory, dream, or the records?
Mm. Um, in some souls' experiences, particularly in the soul speaking at this point, it is through the venue of music. There are some people who can listen to a series of songs and time travel through um, decades of their lives and feel as though they are back in
Mhm.
that moment. For others, it might be going to a space that created a cabin by a lake, a vortex area, a mountainside, going on a walk through nature. Um, and yet others sometimes can experience it through historical fictions. And it depends on the person. It depends on whether or not they wish to time travel.
Mm.
Some people have more interest in that than others. And dream states usually bring us visitors from our past, or they can if there's a visitation. And they are usually occur when there are important times in one's life, or holidays, days of departure, days of birth. And they're just reminding you have always been there,
Mhm.
and they're always celebrating, and they're always there with you, because time is a constraint. It is a linear constraint. We are actually experiencing the past, present, and future all at once. And once we can accept that, and in whatever form it takes,
Mhm.
we will be given more of that ability.
Beautiful. That was a beautiful explanation of how do you know as you go through these trigger points that allow you to dive in.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, that's beautiful. Thank you for that, Akashic Record Masters. And our next set of questions are about humanity's evolution. What
Mm.
is humanity learning in this era of great transition?
It appears to be an inflection point, and we already know, if we're interested at all in our extraterrestrial origins, that we have also had not only guides, masters, angels, we've also had extraterrestrial helpers.
Mhm.
And they have stood by and watched over us for many, probably from the beginning of the earth. And they are saying, buckle up in some ways. Uh,
Uh-oh.
um, yeah, but in a good way. It doesn't,
Uh,
there doesn't seem to be any fear involved in. They're wanting to make themselves known. They're wanting to, for those who will listen, they're wanting to say, collectively, we can choose to decimate each other and where we live, or we can choose the path of freedom.
Mhm.
And everyone has always spoken about peace on earth, but no one has really ever done anything about it. And we're here to help you do that if that's the choice you make. Ultimately, it may mean that there are some who choose not to, and that was their path all along. There were some of us who came in early that may leave early or leave within a period of time because there are others coming in order to make that shift. If that's what the collective wants, if it doesn't, it could be a situation where, like at Atlantis and other places, we just simply choose the wrong path and we start again to work. The Akashic Records masters say, you all have the power and you all have the free will to do whatever you want. We're not here to make you do anything or to bring in any kind of a fear. But because free will was given, then
Yeah.
you must use it. Yeah.
I love that. That's beautiful. Beautiful. And it really dovetails into the next question. How do our collective choices impact the timelines of Earth?
Mm. Many entities on Earth have said time appears to be speeding up. It's not just the older people that feel that way now. It's more people who feel this way. That when we the older sages on the planet would say, you know, when we were children, summer lasted forever, and now it seems like it lasts 2 weeks. But that is a collective speed up of the timeline. And the reason is it is meant to be a doorway or an inflection point where we can choose to walk through the doorway and make the choices that will bring the most harmony to the collective as a group,
Mm-hmm.
or we can turn away from that and make that egocentrical decision for either oneself or one's smaller group.
Mm-hmm.
And this will continue to evolve because there are many people pushing agendas that are nefarious, as indicated earlier. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much for that, Akashic Record Masters. And Jules Niner is saying, yes, we are on the cusp of real change, and we either choose to ascend into 5D or stay stagnant in the 3D. We are all here for the first. Yeah, it's a different time in history than we've ever met before. So, Akashic Record Masters, what does the future of humanity look like from the record's perspective?
There will always be good people. There will always be people that have their own agendas that they wish to push. But it's almost like the Akashic Records masters is saying, as for one, so for all.
Yes.
So with regard to the mistakes we spoke of earlier in our individual lives, there are mistakes also that are done in the collective. And if you don't learn from the history, then you are doomed to repeat it. This is what people have said before on this earth. And so there will be people who will not remain in this timeline. And when they get to their new timeline or their new place, wherever they land, will have the clarity to see all that has happened and realize that many of our parents and grandparents paved the way for us to see what not to do. And then that history has been chipped away at. And so there is a collective renegotiation that needs to be done, and understanding that both brilliant minds and those who understand them need to be great leaders and to bring in new ideas and not be afraid to do so. But there's something else they want to tell me. All right, wait a minute. They are saying to be careful of allowing machines to do so much of the work that we do not use our own machine.
Mm. That's a good point. Thank you, Akashic Record Masters. And in closing today, bringing all of this into daily life, what is the simplest daily practice to keep ourselves aligned with the Akashic field?
The Akashic records say, we'd love you to meditate, but you don't want to, so we'll try something else. We've tried to get you guys to do it, they say. Some of you do. Be grateful for what you have. Understand that you have come at this time in this way to do great work. You have earned the right to be here and to help others evolve and grow. So gratitude is one of the simplest things that you can do each day. Try to live in joy and understanding. And they're saying again, your idea of loving yourself and forgiving yourself and others is an important component to integrate into your heart and help you in order to keep your vibration high as you possibly can, even in times of turmoil, because it's most important then. And try to move away from the anger and the judgment.
Beautiful, beautiful, very powerful, very powerful. I love that. Thank you so much, Akashic Record Masters, and thank you, Aley, Alice, for everything that you did today. That was a lot of channeling, and
Yeah.
it was. And Jules Niner just says, we are here from the lives we spent together during Lemuria and Atlantis, and know the mistakes made and have the clues within to change the course for the better. We've got this. That is beautiful, Jules. I love that. I get the chills coming down.
I got the chills too. Yeah. The Akashic Records Masters are just fabulous.
They are, and we really got some phenomenal information today from the Akashic Record Masters.
Good
So
questions.
many nuggets of gold.
Yes,
So,
that's true.
Thank you, Aley. And please, everyone, like and subscribe to Heart and Soul Connected, and comment. Oh, and Dragonfly Crystals. But comment. Use 7 characters. I don't care if it's 7 emoji or more. When you comment, it gets this video out further into the algorithms, and we all want that for Alice's Heart and Soul Connected, because we love her and we want her to be even more global. So,
thank you. And thanks everybody for being here today.
Yeah.
We always feel blessed by your presence.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And we'll see you
Thank you,
in 2 weeks.
Right.
Yeah. Thank you.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Well, it won't let me out. They have more to say.